Hello, children. Now we are going to start the new chapter, The Modern Age in Europe. It marked the revival of the freedom to think and act without being controlled. Renaissance. It means rebirth, rebirth of art and learning. It began in northern Italy. As the economy and society changed, new ideas began to appear. This period of interest and development in art, literature, science, and learning is known as Renaissance. New trade route. One of the major causes giving birth to Renaissance. The navigators and the explorers, probably of Portuguese and Spanish, they played very important role in geographical explorations. And it started with when Constantinople fell into the hands of the Turks in 1453. The trade routes between the west and east were completely closed. Then the traders they felt the need for discovering new trade routes. So there were several navigators and explorers who discovered new sea routes, like Prince Henry. He discovered a sea route to Africa. Bartholomew Diaz, he discovered Cape of Good Hope. Columbus discovered America. Vasco da Gama discovered India. Ferdinand Magellan discovered a Pacific Ocean. The opening of new sea routes not only encouraged trade but also created the spirit of adventure and broadened the mental horizon. Second important cause, invention of the printing press. The printing press was set up in Germany by Gutenberg in middle of the 15th century. Later on, Caxton introduced it in England. It made production of books easy. It made books accessible for common people, which changed people's attitude towards life. The first book which was printed was Bible, and later on the classical and religious books were also printed. Printing press enabled Europe to multiply books. Now we are going to discuss impact of Renaissance. Renaissance had a great impact on all the aspects of life: art, literature, philosophy, science, religion. It was due to the spread of Renaissance that significant trends emerged in the realm of art, thought, and literature. The Renaissance did not merely lead to the rebirth of learning, but also to the rebirth of art. The artists of the Renaissance period refused to abide by the medieval rules and traditions. These artisans adopted new artistic methods, such as frescoes, one of the famous artistic skill. This was used for wall pictures. Then for this frescoes, they used oil colors and wood cuts. They studied optics and geometry and used their knowledge to develop perspective in their paintings. The artists they studied human anatomy to find the mechanism underlying gestures and expressions. Second impact, that is painting. Renaissance painters established very high standard and of very high degree paintings at that time. They were able to show their talent without being restricted by the rigid rules of the church, medieval rules, and traditions. They had a humanistic secular approach and produced high artistic and lifelike paintings. The best examples are the paintings of The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci and painting of Mona Lisa. Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was a great painter, a sculptor, architect, scientist, and engineer. Here are the two famous paintings of Leonardo da Vinci: The Last Supper and Mona Lisa. Da Vinci, the first scientist to perform human dissections of the body to study anatomy. He painted very realistic pictures such as the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. He drew the first sketches of man in flight using wings. He sketched plants and animals. Da Vinci refined his painting and sculpting techniques and trained in mechanical arts. He spent a great deal of time immersing himself in nature, testing scientific laws, dissecting bodies of human and animal. Here are the two anatomical drawings by Leonardo da Vinci. Besides art and painting, there was significant growth in literature. Besides, there was a change of themes in the literary work. Earlier, writers dwelt on spiritual themes, but during Renaissance, the authors wrote on man and his problems. Such emphasis on man gave birth to a new movement, which was known as humanism. Then, literature in Italy. Machiavelli was a great political writer of Italy. He expressed his political ideas in his work, like The Prince. Dante's Divine Comedy is an epic poem on the state of the soul, and this poem reveals the religious and social life of the day. Petrarch, a great scholar and writer, has been called the father of humanism. Petrarch's sonnets and lyrics, they were very popular throughout the Europe, and this all happened at the time of Renaissance only. Then there were several other Italian writers like Aristo, Tasso, Boccaccio. Boccaccio wrote in prose. His work, Decameron, is a collection of 100 famous shorter stories. Now we are moving to the next topic, that is growth of literature in England. England produced a number of writers, poets, and dramatists. Geoffrey Chaucer, who led Renaissance literature to a great height in England. He is regarded as the father of English poetry. The Canterbury Tales is his outstanding work. Thomas More, who wrote Utopia, he described an imaginary island in America where the rich did not exploit the poor. The society had no blind faith and it did not believe in useless war. So, such a great writing was done by Thomas More. Other famous English writers in this period were Francis Bacon, William Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, and Marlowe. Francis Bacon was a famous essay writer. Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, Marlowe were also known as dramatists. Paradise Lost is an immortal work of Milton. Edmund Spenser wrote the poem Faerie Queene. They all appear as champions of English literature. The Renaissance marked the beginning of modern science. And let us study this with Nicholas Copernicus. Nicholas Copernicus, Polish astronomer who took birth on February 19, 1473. Nicholas Copernicus is known for proposing a heliocentric theory for the solar system in which the sun is stationary at the center and the earth and the other planets orbit around it. Now let us study it in detail, that there is no one center of all the celestial circles or spheres. The center of the earth is not the center of the universe, but only of gravity and of the lunar sphere. All the spheres revolve about the sun as their midpoint, and therefore the sun is the center of the universe. The Earth has more than one motion, turning on its axis and moving in a spherical orbit around the Sun. So, this we call the Copernican system. He introduced the theory of planet movements. He introduced the theory of Nicholas Copernicus regarding the mechanics of the solar system, which postulates that the Earth and other planets revolve around the Sun. This theory challenged the Ptolemaic system of astronomy that had prevailed since the 2nd century. The scientists of this period believed that all views on science should be based on observation and experimentation. The method of inquiry, questioning, observation, and experimentation are used even today in scientific investigations. So, children, with this, the chapter is completed. In next video, we are going to discuss